Mel with Well by Mel. Today's video is going to be about transitioning to vegetarianism or veganism. So I was asked to make a video about some tips on how to transition. And even if you think, I never want to be a vegetarian or a vegan because I love cheese and meat, and this video might also be for you because you can eat healthier and eat less animal products. Stay tuned and keep watching. Those are the same thing. So, alright, I have 7 tips for transitioning to vegetarianism or veganism. Vegetarianism, first of all, is not eating meat. And veganism means you don't eat meat and you don't eat eggs or dairy, cheese. Tip number 1 out of 7. Make what you eat now vegan. Just kidding. So what I mean by that is, so let's say you eat cereal every day. How do you make that vegan or vegetarian? Instead of using cow's milk, use almond milk. That's what my family does. That's what my son does. He has almond milk and it's delicious and he loves it, and he's 10 and he is picky and he still likes almond milk better than regular milk. Or you can use soy milk, or you can use rice milk. You can use whatever milk you want. Or let's say you eat stir fry. So instead of having shrimp stir fry, have vegetable stir fry and eat more vegetables and more rice. So vegetables don't have a lot of calories, so you might just eat, some extra helpings of rice, because if you take out a food group, you're going to have to eat more of another food group, otherwise you're going to be really, really hungry. Another thing is, if you like burritos, instead of the cheese, you could just have the rice and the beans and the refried, vegetarian refried beans, and instead of cheese, you could add avocado or guacamole to give it that fatty kind of texture and flavor, and then you just add your salsa and your tortillas and everything else. So very simple. We also make a vegetarian or vegan type pizza. So instead of processed meats, we just put on a lot of vegetables, and I love mushrooms, so I usually double, triple up on mushrooms, and instead of cheese, we just don't use cheese. But it's really good. I mean, when you have the tomato sauce and the crust and all these awesome, delicious vegetables, you don't really miss it. And if you do miss it transitioning, there is vegan cheese, so you can go get that stuff. I don't eat it because I prefer not to eat processed stuff, but it's fantastic for transitioning. So any meal you have, try to think of ways you can make it vegetarian or vegan. All right? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, pace yourself. So don't go cold turkey. Maybe you start off with a vegetarian or vegan breakfast, which could be like fruit or a smoothie. And if you're doing that, remember, 1 piece of fruit is not a meal. That is called 70 calories. So like for me today, I had a meal of peaches. I had 5 peaches for breakfast. And then I went ahead and I had lunch not too far after that because it was a late meal and I was really hungry. But remember, if you're having something like fruit for a meal, it has to be a lot of it. So pace yourself, maybe have a vegetarian vegan breakfast every single day, and then maybe you do breakfast and lunch, or maybe you do vegetarian vegan Mondays, also known as meatless Mondays, and pretty soon, 14 of your 21 meals a week are vegetarian or vegan. Number 3, one problem that I find people have is they rely on processed foods. So you might have a lot of processed foods like fake cheeses, fake meats, tofus, which are okay for transitioning, but you really do want to try to focus on whole foods. So fruit, that could be a meal. Vegetables, whole grains like rice and oatmeal. Starches like potatoes, which are actually very, very good for you. Please read McDougall's Starch Solution. All of the main human civilizations on Earth really thrived on grains and starches, So potatoes are a great one. Beans are a whole food. So finding ways to make meals out of those instead of processed fake things. Number 4, stay away from high-fat meals. So if you take out meat and cheese, your diet, you would think, would naturally become lower in fat, but that might not be true if you then decide to really focus on seeds and nuts and oils. So oils are processed. There's no such thing as an oil tree. Oil does not grow. Um, it is actually processed from nuts and vegetables and seeds. So oil is not a whole food, but nuts and seeds are also very, very high in fat. And if you talk to any of the plant-based doctors or you read any of their books, which I will give you that information below, but I'll mention it briefly in a second, they all recommend a low-fat diet, which is 12% or lower in fat. 30% is not a low-fat diet. That is a high-fat diet, and most people consume probably 30 to 50% of their calories from fat, and that's including vegans if they do not focus on whole foods such as fruits, vegetables, grains, and starches and legumes. Ha! I've got 3 more. Let's keep it simple. All right, so if you're going vegetarian and vegan and you're used to making very fancy meals, it's not really necessary. You can actually thrive, and you probably do much better if you try to keep things simple. So like I said earlier, today I had a meal of peaches for breakfast. I did not have to have 10 different kinds of fruits. I did not have to have all these different kinds of foods combined. Our digestion works better when we keep things simple. So consuming one meal or one food at a meal, it can actually be much better for you. And you're like, well, you need a lot of variation. Well, you do throughout the year, throughout the month, throughout the week, and throughout the day. But in each meal, you don't necessarily have to consume a lot of different things. There might be only so many nutrients in one peach, but if you eat like 5 or 6 or 7 peaches, that multiplies the nutrition, and you will still get a lot of your nutrition for the whole day. And if you did this with a different food every meal, you would probably still hit all of your RDAs or get pretty darn close. And you don't need 100% of RDAs because those are there just as like some safety buffers. So you don't actually have to have 100% of everything every day to be healthy. So eating a big salad is great with less ingredients, having just one fruit, eating a meal of, your favorite vegetable and rice, having a meal of just potatoes are all fantastic. You don't have to have fancy recipes. If you do want fancy recipes, go online and Google. Google has everything, including vegetarian and vegan food options. Number 6, we're almost there. Aren't you excited? My number 6 rule is eat what you like. Don't eat what you don't like. Don't eat what you think you have to eat. Listen to your body. As long as it's not processed and it's a whole food, you really cannot go wrong. So listen to your body. Sometimes I have salad for breakfast. Sometimes I have fruit for dinner. So whatever you're craving at the time, take a moment, think about what am I craving, what do I want, and eat that. Instead of eating what you think you need to eat, even if you don't like it, you're going to end up still craving what you craved in the first place. So take a minute, think about it, and then eat that. If you don't like bananas, don't eat bananas. Yeah, there's potassium in bananas, but there's more potassium in potatoes. And there's just as much potassium in most fruits and vegetables. So pick the ones you like, ignore the ones that you don't. You're still going to be healthy if you're eating whole foods rather than processed crap. All right, and my last and most favorite tip of all, number 7, lucky number 7 is educate yourself. So if you're going into a new diet, like anything, you want to educate yourself so you know if you're doing it correctly. If people ask you questions and you don't know how to answer, it's going to make you confused about the decisions you're making and why you're making them. Being a vegan and a vegetarian is something that you can do to really help your health. It is very proven. There's a lot of doctors out there, doctors like Neil Bernard, who has reversed diabetes through a plant-based diet that is low in fat and high in carbohydrates. Dr. McDougall, who believes in the starch solution, who believes that eating things like potatoes and rice and starches like that with a low-fat diet is the diet that is meant for humans. There's also doctors like Dr. Esselstyn. There are a lot of doctors out there, Dr. Ornish, who also believed in a low-fat, whole foods, plant-based diet. All of these doctors have amazing books out there, and I will put some of them below and some of their information, and educate yourself. The more you learn, the stronger you can be in your convictions, and if people come to you with contradictory information, you have the education and the information so that you can feel strong in why you're doing what you're doing. Make what you eat vegan, so think about what you eat now and turn it into a vegan vegetarian option. Go slow, one meal at a time. Try to eat all whole foods, fruits and vegetables, grains, starches, legumes, no oils. Keep it low fat, minimum nuts and seeds and oils, 10%, 12% or lower in fat. Keep it simple. You can have all fruit for one meal. You don't need really fancy recipes. Only eat what you like. So all fruits and vegetables are amazing for you. Choose the ones you like the best and stick with those. And educate yourself as much as possible. And that is all I have for you. I hope you all have a fantastic day, rest of your week, and tune in for more. If you have any questions, please ask me because I love ideas for new videos. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Howdy. Don't have anything else for you. So, namaste.